Hi everyone, the following video is a recording of our 55th Artist Feedback AMA. This session was held in the MetaJungle Discord on November 29th and featured all different types of NFT photography. We want to thank our host, Mike Schmidt, in taking the time to review 8 different NFT collections and editions and providing feedback on the curation, creation, and marketing of these NFT collections and editions. We also want to thank everyone who was able to attend and all the artists that submitted their work for review. We hope you find this session as useful as we did, and with that, let's go on ahead and get into it.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to start with the first collection here. This is, and we have Minay. She's here right now too, so that's perfect. It's Ashura Morning by Minay Evren Ertugrul. I think that's how you say it. And so read the artist statement here. This is really interesting. So Hazrat Hussein was martyred in Karbala. This is why Muslims mourn every year on Muharram. The chain symbolizes Hussein's torture in Karbala. Women and children wear chains symbolically and commemorate that day. In mourning, 3 colors draw attention: green, heaven; red, blood; and black symbolizes mourning. So it's got like a red, black, green. Interesting. I've been shooting these impressive documentary photos for 8 years between 2012 and 2020. Every year I am as impressed as the first year I go. Editions are one of one, and the licenses are on here, and copyright remains with the creator. So zoom back a little bit. You can see the banner, which is like the eyes from photographs. It's an interesting banner. I like it. And that that opening image, or the collections image, is one of my favorites from the collection here. So we'll take a look at the collection. Oops. Go the other direction. Get rid of this. So floor price is 0.15 on these, and it's the same all the way across. I did notice 2 images were added: Break Your Chains and Morning Ceremony from past to present. Were added about 6 hours ago, because I remember last night when I was looking at the collection, those were not there. So recent images added. You know, my first impression of the collection when I saw it was that, like, wow, this is really surreal. The images are really surreal to me. This one in particular, I don't know why it really stands out for me. I think I kind of know why. Angel. It feels like something out of a movie. It feels like a movie set. It feels very, very surreal, like almost outside of photography surreal. It's still really, really, really strange moment to capture. This person's wearing this angel costume, and then there's this bit of smoke that's coming out from under this rock here. I don't know if that's like a smoke grenade device that they use, or some type of thing that they throw down on the ground. But then above is this like really innocent and beautiful looking little girl with green, and holding the chains here. And she talked about what all this symbolizes, right? We read again because it's just to remember here what each color symbolizes. The red is blood. The black is, let's see, hold on, I'm just going to read it once more on the artist statement. Yeah, the green is heaven. So you can see the green on the top of the girl's headpiece there. Red's red symbolizing blood, and black symbolizing ring. So you can see the two colors in this. I wonder. I guess white doesn't have a meaning within this, but that image really stands out to me as being just really interesting and really surreal shot. I think there's a lot of surreal photographs in here, but also something that's just truly interesting because I've never heard of or been to a mourning ceremony like this. So another image that really stood out to me, and similarly against this kind of this rock wall, is Outcry. It's just, yeah, it's just really, really surreal. I know I keep using that word, but for being documentary, it's just not something I've ever seen before. Like I don't think these people are acting. They look like they're truly crying. Like I love this little girl in the front to the bottom right edge of the frame, where she has her hands like she's about to, to go down forward in prayer. These others in the back that you just can't see anything of them. You can't see the face on anyone else except for the little girl in the front, and the person, who feels like is the protagonist in this, and has their hands out like, asking for um, something from above, from the heavens, with the white cloth over the face, and just everyone else is just really sort of like it's almost ominous. It blacked out, and you can just see hands. It's really, really, really surreal and interesting image. Outcry. And then there's a few other images in here that stand out to me as well. This woman is called Crying Woman, which is a beautiful image, and she's holding chains, and you have this symbolism from the blacks and the greens in this, and just a really powerful photograph. And the woman in the background is just, it's powerful as well. She seems like so stern in her gaze upwards at whatever they're looking at. It's a really strong image. One image for me that felt like it was a bit different from the rest was the morning ceremony from past to present. I mean, I do really like this perspective from above. It's so scale though. It feels like there's just so many people here that are there. I don't know if I want to call it celebrating, but mourning Hussein. Um, and I believe that should be him in these pictures, which kind of have like a look and a feel of paintings of Jesus, but clearly are not. There's like religious symbolism in here. Yeah, this is a really, really great layered image. I don't know exactly like how I feel about how it fits in with um with the other images, but I do like that shot very much as a standalone. A lot of other shots seem, um, there's three different feelings that I get from looking at this collection as far as like the genre goes. Some of them feel very documentary, like that this vertical shot morning ceremony feels very documentary. Um, this the break your chains, the crying woman feel very documentary. And then you have images like Angel, Outcry, that feel a little bit like fine art, and also sadness. These two sadness pieces, which I think should have separate titles, the red one and the green, and these feel to me like less documentary and more fine art, and I think that's because like we're missing elements of the background. So it feels like in post production, the background was darkened a lot. So these give off like a more of a, one could say, look at this and not know what it's about and think that, maybe this is a staged studio photograph. It feels like it could have like a studio feel because it doesn't have context to the background of it. And I kind of like, I definitely like it like that. It's beautiful, but I think putting it in with a collection that has images that feel very documentary, it confuses the viewer a bit that we're looking at something that feels true to documentary, and then something that feels a little more fine art because of the editing process. But I don't have any constructive feedback on the like how beautiful the images are that are within here. Well, I feel like most of the images in this collection, I feel like could work within a collection, but can also work um, individually as well. So it's really is a beautiful collection. And then you have like one really close up, which I would consider like portrait. which is really, really beautiful. Sad eyes. And this is just so well captured. The emotion that you can see in her face, in her eyes, and just the beautiful detail that you could see of the skin and the freckles. It's a beautiful woman. It's a really beautiful, beautiful piece. I noticed that these are one of ones, right? I believe you wrote down in here, yep, edition of one of one. But you left it out of the properties area. And since none of these have sold, I think it's a good idea to keep one of one listed in your properties area. Since it's like metadata for art on the blockchain, I think it's going to carry over to other platforms outside of OpenSea, where collectors will be able to have that sort of digital signature stating that it's a one of one artist name in here. I think it's really good. Dimensions and all this stuff. I like to put this in my stuff as well. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really good collection. There's a couple questions from the artist. Are the color tones good? Yeah, I think the color tones are good, and I think they're consistent throughout. It has, your blacks are very black. Um, your whites are very white. I like high contrast and strong contrast in images. Some people like that faded out black look, but I definitely enjoy your color tones and everything in this. And when it says, is the subject explanation sufficient or understandable? I think it's sufficient. It's understandable for as much as I know about this ceremony, which like I feel like now I want to learn more about the man that this ceremony is about, and why he's important enough to be like martyred, and why these people come back over and over again. So I think I got to do some of my own like digging in and my own research, especially considering that this is done in Istanbul, and I was just in Istanbul for a week. So it would have been really cool if I was there during this time to be able to see something as at this scale that just like not much of the world really gets to see. So also really respect Monet that you've been working on this collection for so long. I think you said something around it was like six or something years. Let me just make sure I don't misquote that. Yeah, 8 years between 2012 and 2020. That's probably how you've been able to get such powerful images. Like I'm sure there's not every moment is not as powerful as some of the moments that you've captured here. I noticed your royalties, your creator fees are set at 0%. I do know that there's some talk right now about OpenSea not honoring. That's my phone here. About OpenSea not honoring some collections royalties, or maybe it's actually Manifold, issuing Manifold's end. And I'm not sure if these were created. Let me see if I can click on them and see if they're created through OpenSea or Manifold. 1155, the chain is Ethereum, metadata centralized. I don't know if I'm able to tell through this exactly, but if you're able to change your royalties, then a pretty standard royalty is 10% for photographers. So if you have the ability, I would definitely change that. And if Renee is here, I think she has some difficulty with language barrier, but if she wanted to talk about that, talk about the work, or type about it, and we could take a look, or just why there's no creator royalties, and see if she has some insight as to what's going on with that. That would be great. Nothing in there yet. Okay, well maybe she'll reach out later and let me know. But definitely beautiful collection, really beautiful. Like every piece feels sort of fine art. Um, and, there's not much I would really change except for the fact that I would consider that some of the images feel fine art, and some of the images feel more documentary. So how you talk and call this collection would depend. Some people that are like strict about documentary, that shoot documentary, would say that these are edited to the point where it would be outside of documentary photography. I mean, I don't have the right or stand to say any of that, but yeah, beautiful work, really beautiful work, and priced right. And so, um, yeah, hopefully, you know, you're talking about this collection still and keeping it alive. I want to see how long ago. Let's see if we go to oldest, how long ago the collection was minted. And the Angel looks like it was the first one minted, so 5 months ago. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would recommend talking about this in spaces if you can, or having, if you have a language barrier, like having someone like one of your friends that speaks English well, that can help you within spaces talk about like what this morning ceremony is about and like what the work means to you. And I think you can possibly get a sale in spaces just by telling the story of this, because it's so different, it's so interesting, and the price is really really good. Or just making Twitter post with like an image and talking about that image and bringing some light to the collection, maybe putting it in your pinned tweet for a while. But yeah, it's sad to see, so many beautiful images, but no sales on this yet. And it's been out for a long time. But it's good that, you didn't delete your collection, and because, lately I've been thinking, um, after seeing my friend Olvek talk about when things were minted on the blockchain, making them worth more, and making them more rare and worth more in the future, because it's showing that you believed in the blockchain for a long time, and since it's been minted since then. But yeah, I don't have anything else on the collection unless there's any questions from the artist. With that, I think I can move to the third element. And third element is an addition by Sai Sanjay Prasad. And let's look at his questions. This is my first AMA submission. Honest opinion is highly appreciated. How much do you like the image? So very simple questions, just wants honest feedback on this. Let's take a look. So third element says manifold, cool. So let's open it up from here first. So this was created October 2022. So the creator fees are 10%, and it's listed there. I read something about how anything after November 8th, which you made the cutoff, congratulations, after November 8th is not honored by OpenSea for the royalties. And I'm not sure if that's an issue on OpenSea's end or on Manifold's end. You do have your creator fee set at 10%. That's good to see. And let's take a read at this. It says, Kulasai, one of India's most well-known holidays. This happens at the 300-year-old Sir Mutharaman temple in Kulasakara, Patnam. You guys are really challenging me today with these ones. Every culture has its unique rituals that show how devoted its people are to its specific deities. One of the biggest festivals held in India is the Kulasai Dussehra. Photographers from all around India and the world will congregate here to document the festivities. Numerous rituals are used by people to show their devotion to the god. A devotee dressed as Kali, who assumes the form of the Mutharaman Thrichadi, is the name of this rite. They conclude the event by remembering Narahusaran, documenting the moments as a photographer can be a little difficult. So saying documenting the moments as a photographer can be a little difficult because there are so many photographers on the scene and other difficult factors such as the weather. The third element image was published in Kalakari Film and Photography Magazine, October 2022. So just this year, congratulations on that. That's awesome. Artist Sai Sanjay Praseth, and edition is 10. So there's 10 editions. That's pretty relatable to me because I've gone to, like, I haven't gone to this obviously, but I've gone to like things in New York that are shot like every year that people come out for, where there's just like tons of photographers and stuff, and sometimes it's very difficult to get close. So I definitely feel your pain on that when there is just like so much competition out there, or just so many people in the way of getting a great photograph from this. And I totally see a lot of photographs from this specific event on the blockchain. And so let's take a look at the image. So third element. Yeah, the one thing I like about this, and I've talked about this in spaces before, this shot, is that we often see this god or these gods dressed up like on their own around a fire, like as a single sort of portrait or movement. But it's not often that I get to see the people like up this close and personal around the deity, in a beautiful documentary shot like this. So I think it's really well done. I love the girl in the front here. Her face is really beautiful. It looks like they have different type of makeup. Like this woman has a makeup on her forehead, and their expressions. This woman's expression here, and the woman's expression here, and none of the people in the image are overlapping, so it creates a really beautiful composition that's non-distracting. It's really difficult to pull this off a lot of times, especially when there's a lot of people and then also a lot of photographers. So like really commend you on that. It's a gorgeous image. Definitely a beautiful image. And I love that there's only 10 editions. It keeps it scarce, giving some people the ability to own it, but like tons and tons of people. And it's really smart too, especially in a slow market right now, like this bear market, like to keep your editions small. I think it's just a conservative idea to do that. It's just less risky than to come out with like a 50 edition piece in the bear market. The only people I see like that are really successful that are like famous photographers in this space that are able to do a sellout like that. So I think that's really smart. And so congrats on selling 5 of them already. Looks like you own 5 more still, and eventually they'll go. Like I said, this is the slow market, but I think it's a fantastic image. Once again, the addition missing in the properties, something I see over and over again. I know that the edition is listed in the description, but when we think about different chains, like work being like multi-chain, and work being spread across like not just multi-chain, like ETH, Polygon, Solana, like Tezos, that's multi-chain, but like multi-platform, that these properties are like the metadata for art on the blockchain, that like if it's on Rarible or Maker's Place or Foundation or any of these other platforms, the stuff that's really going to carry over will probably be this metadata properties. So like that's where I think we need the most important stuff. I like to have it listed in both the description, and I teach that I think that it's best to have it in both the description and the properties just to be safe, and just to give collectors that extra feeling of security and confidence that the edition size is the one you say it is, and that you're going to stick to that word whether you go cross platform chain. So yeah, I don't think I could spend too much time on this one. I think, because I don't have that much to say, I think the price is really right. I think it's a beautiful image. I see you in the space very often. You're very active, so just keep the story alive on this. I think you're doing really good so far, with already having 5 sales. So really beautiful work. And I don't have anything else on this one, this single image, but gorgeous. So with that, I'll move on to the next collection. I never really moved this fast through collections, but when you don't have co-host, it's you don't have to bounce off too many ideas, but kind of just trying to be to the point in this. This is Panthera, and this is by Brijesh Makadia. And I know him as Doctor in the space, Dr. Brijesh. I don't know if he likes being called Doctor, but yeah, Brijesh, he's awesome. I love him because he's everywhere. He's always retweeting everyone's work. And he's just always taking part in spaces. And so I've really got to know him quite well in the past few months since I was introduced to him in space. And so, and I believe he's gone on, I'm not sure, but I believe he might have gone on some tours with Sabode through Masamara, but this work is not from Masamara. This is different. This collection features images taken from the wilderness of Deer Forest, which is the last home of Asiatic lions in the world. Through this series, he wishes to share interesting stories about these majestic species. So cool to see this. We see a lot of wildlife collections from Masamara, but this is the Deer Forest, and these are a bit different. And so looks like one is sold to Alpha Trilogy for 0.2, His Majesty. Which is a beautiful shot, really beautiful. Yeah, I was going to say majestic. It's in the name, Majesty. Majestic photograph of a male lion with a lot of beautiful detail. You can even see like these scars under the eyes, scars on the nose. We like to talk about in portraiture through humans with wrinkles and the elderly, like all the life that they have on their face and all the stories that tells like a map, like the wrinkles are like a map. Well, for this lion, it looks like a map of courage and defeat, and you know, maybe he's defeated some other some other predators, or maybe he's been defeated in some wars, but he still stands or sits in a majestic way and tall and fierce. So it's beautiful. So let's read the description on this one. Calm and serene, or calm and serene. That's good too. He's calm and serene. The imperial lion lay mildly indulging in the golden ray, all unconcerned, nor angry, nor amazed. This noble monarch of the Deer Forest, he meets with no rival in his contest. With his surpassing strength and agile stride, flaunting his elegant mane, rules his pride. O thou royal king, we bestow your majesty. The Asiatic lion, Panthera leo persecia, that today survives in the wild only in Gir Forest of India. Truly majestic and supreme king of the jungle. I love that description. Really giving praise to this majestic lion. Got the license, artist name, subject wildlife, Deer Forest, 1 of 1, and the dimensions in there as well, and some tags that Foundation allow you to place in there, which is always smart to put as many tags as hashtags as possible so that people could see the art, because some people do search through the search bar here to find specific things. Beautiful shot. Maybe not my favorite of the 3. I think my favorite actually is the one that's priced the highest at 0.55, Guardian. Talked about this shot in spaces. I love the third eye. I love how these other eyes go in this perfect unison, and it's interesting because it's, you know, there's a space between the eyes, whether it's an animal or a human. There's a certain level of space between the eyes, and it's almost as if these eyes have the same amount of space between them, even though it's from the male lion from behind. But the female lion, equally, or I think actually even more majestic in the shot than the male lion. And so I'll take a read at the description here on the Guardian. It doesn't matter who's in front of her as far as she knows who is behind her. That's a beautiful quote right there. That's by you. That's a beautiful quote. A lioness may be smaller in size or less strong compared to a lion, but her courage and attitude are equally powerful. As it is with other big cats, she decides when, where, and how often the mating will take place. She loves, protects, and fights for her pride. True guardian. So that's something interesting that I learned today about lions just reading through the descriptions from Brajesh, is that the females are the ones that decide when, where, and how the mating, which will be the sexual acts of creating, bringing new lions into existence, will take place. And that's, they talk about the alpha male, the alpha lion, but that's pretty alpha in its own regard, right? To get to choose that. It's really beautiful. This image was clicked just before this couple were about to make love. Charismatic display of aura and attitude of lioness. I love your descriptions, Brajesh. Is he here today with us? I don't think he is, but he'll get to come back and listen to the replay on this. And, yeah, it's, Jaden chimed in on the last collection. That collection really enjoyed learning and about and learning the traditions taking place. Yeah, it truly is interesting. On that tradition third element. And there's one more image in this little collection on Foundation. A little collection with the big vibe. Wild Love. And this is a great shot. At first, I thought it was the lion over one of his children, just just roaring, and then I realized it's a mating session, or about to be a mating session in which the female doesn't really show any true expression to what's happening behind her. The wild love roars through her. Ignorant of the world, they embrace each other. He overcomes the depths of her heart. His glory invades her deeper. When it comes to lion mating rituals, it's about speed, stamina, and plenty of aggression. Lioness calls the shots. There's no specific breeding period. They mate several times a year. A mating marathon can involve 20 to 40 rounds a day, each lasting for a few seconds to minutes. Lioness will then leave to give birth to cubs and form her pride. So I guess when we're using the word pride in this, it's talking about the children. It's very interesting. Really, really beautiful shot. Surreal to even see something like this. I'm, for one, I live in New York City. Two, you don't really get to see a mating session very often, or just this moment captured. It's definitely what we call in street photography, a decisive moment. It's a moment that happens, and it comes quickly, and it's fleeting. And this moment is very, very, very beautifully captured by Brajesh. So I think that this work will certainly sell in due time. And Brajesh had no questions in particular. So I covered, I think, how I feel about the work, and I think I think the descriptions and the images really, really, really well done, and they outweigh your description of the actual artist statement. I think could be worked on. So this just says this collection will feature images taken from the wilderness of Deer Forest, which is the last home of Asiatic lions in the world. And through the series, I wish to share their interesting stories about these majestic species. With seeing how articulate you are, how good you are writing in those individual descriptions,
I think you can come up with, a couple more paragraphs in the main art statement that could, give a little more information and give some more intrigue. And that's up to you. Um, short description is also fine. And the elaborate descriptions on each piece is great. So it's like, I tend to say that there really are no rules. I'm just an opinion, maybe a larger description in order statement that's um, feels a little more genuine to what it feels to work with these animals, or what you're doing, what separates the Gir forest from other forests. I think some of that type of information and history for me as a collector would be interesting to read. I can't speak for other collectors, but I think that that's maybe something that could be worked on. Congratulations on selling the one piece. I think the other two will definitely sell. We love the work that the work does. So, with that being said, I think I can move on to the next collection. This is a collection called "I Speak For," and this is by Shane. I don't know if it's Gary K or Garrick, but AKA we know him as Stoic or Stoic the photographer. And I'm going to read his questions before he cat. Cat's bugging out over here. Juju, come on. What are you doing? Don't do that. Slapping against the radiator. She sits on the radiator because it puts out heat. And she's got no hair and she's doing this little slappy thing. But so Gary's questions: is there enough in the collection? What else should I add if there isn't? Wildlife? Question mark. Landscape? Question mark. If a piece hasn't sold out, what course of action would you suggest taking? And is there any of my work you've seen that should be on the blockchain? Thoughts on minting and object Tezos? Overall quality of the collection, welcome. All right, we'll get to some of those. I'm going to talk about the collection first. Let's see. Seems to me if I zoom out a bit, you can see more of the banner, which is really, really cool and different. I love this banner. I don't know if you create it yourself, but it's really, really well done and it's very different. I like that it doesn't necessarily have to be photography in the banner. We have these beautiful little, these remind me of, you go to a tattoo shop and there's a tattoo artist who has like, I forgot what those books are called. But they show stuff on the wall, flash art that they can do, and this is some really cool sort of flash art looking stuff. I love the first one a lot with the mountains and the little trees, and they're all great. So I'll go ahead and read the artist statement here. I speak for the trees have no tongues. The Lorax. When I read that, I was like, the Lorax, I know that name from somewhere. And so the next line, almost everyone has heard of Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. The book/movie is part of my inspiration for this collection. It was a very strong statement he made because he was right. Mountains, trees, animals, none of them can speak for themselves. I feel it's my responsibility to provide a voice for those who cannot speak in a constantly changing world. For me, nature has always been a place of great peace, both physically and mentally. When I'm in the mountains, I feel like I'm at home, able to express myself and be myself. This is why I'm so passionate about the collection. In this collection, you will find both editions and one-of-ones where I share my thoughts and perspectives on each piece and the voices I think they carry. So to those who love nature and animals, this one's for you. And then another quote from Lorax: unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So yeah, I love the artist statement. I love the pulling from Dr. Seuss, a huge nostalgia for many of us. I mean, me, I'm 38 years old, so Dr. Seuss is very prevalent in my childhood. Really cool, and shows you really care about the environment and the and nature. And you could tell from reading this, this sentence here. This, for me, nature's always been a place of great peace, physically and mentally. When I'm in the mountains, I feel like I'm at home, able to express myself and be myself. I talked with Stoic the other day in a space, and I I didn't read this artist statement here, but I had a feeling that because from seeing the images that he was making, that he was in a flow state or in a place of peace when he was making these images, because sometimes we can see that in others' artwork and have a feeling of peace that um, you can feel that they are at a great place when they're making those photographs. So going in to look at the collection, you see total volume less than 1/8, floor price 0.005. That's really, really cheap. So thinking about 0.005, I think that's like $6-7. $6. Um, so there's so $6 to get a piece. So 11 owners, and so if we look at activity, you can see a lot of people bought this edition, Snowy edition. I'll read the full title here in a minute, but there's a lot of names on here that I know. Charity. Doesn't matter, but a lot of people collected this, and one collected. I speak for the three. We're gonna look at it now, though. But we're looking at what's been collected. But this is 0.007, $8.51. So we're looking at editions here, priced extremely low. So I looked at this collection. The first one, the one that really stood out to me in my eyes was actually. I speak for Snowy Valley. Um, I speak for Mountain Passes. I speak for the mountains, this one here, and also I speak for the Three Sisters. So when I went to go look at Speak for Snowy Valley, I see it at that price of like $6. Like, I want one of these, and I was like, there's no buy, so I can't buy it. And I know that you own two still because I look at it. I know you own three of them still. So you can make that available for people and get some purchases on it. It's a really beautiful piece. I'm guessing that maybe you minted these on fold because they open up so quickly. Sure though, because a lot of the images have been opening up. They take a really long time. This opens up really quickly. It's really beautiful. You have detail all throughout. So we're thinking about closed aperture where you get a lot of that detail. Beautiful light shining through. I love the light shining through. The edit is just perfect. And we have like a foreground that sticks or wooden sticks and stuff, and branches here in the foreground that lead you into sort of like the midground, which is like looks sort of like a frozen lake or something, a stream. I'm sorry, a frozen stream. And then you got the background. You have all three elements of the foreground, middle ground, background. You even have some footsteps in here that give a little story that someone's been there. Beautiful image. I really like that one. Open up another one. I speak for the elk is really interesting too. There's something really beautiful about this edit, or lack of edit, or whatever it is. It feels like really true to life. For some reason, when I look at this image, I feel like I'm looking through a telescope, or like I'm there. The colors, the clarity, it feels very, very true to life. Normally, like when there's a horizon that's like this, like twisted and turned, it's bothersome for me or a lot of people, but I don't know. I think it works here because for some reason the elk here still feels like it's on solid ground. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like its horizon in itself has been and shifted. And maybe the horizon is not shifted, and maybe it's just this is a mountain that goes up. But really interesting. This is 12 editions as well. Once again, no additions in the properties. I think people should be putting the additions in there. We spoke about that on a couple of them back. I'm not going to get into that again, but $6 for an edition. What is 6 times 12? Calculator here. So 12 times 6. It's $72 for all 12 of them if it's sold. So I think you're underselling yourself a bit. That's up to you, but I think the images are more beautiful than the prices that you're letting them go for. I will say one thing. Um, well, if there's any image that stands out to me as feeling like it wouldn't fit, it would be I Speak for the Waxlings, and you don't have any sales on that one yet. And this one shows to be a one of one. So when you have one of ones and you have additions in the same collection, it could be a little confusing to the collector that comes in and wonders, some collectors, they're not going to know whether or not like one of them's an addition or whether or not one of them's are one of one. And what this does too, when you put one of ones and additions in the same category, is it affects your floor price, right? Because your floor price is going to always be the lowest price um, sold. So if that's any, I think floor price is a psychological thing for a lot of people, like a psychological either barrier will lead them into entering into purchasing from a collection, whether that be fortunate or unfortunate that that's the case. But um, having an addition in the same as an addition in the same collection as a one of one, which is something that I have thought about doing, but I've thought against it, is because it will always hold down your floor price, and it will confuse collectors as to why some of them are listed as additions and why some of them are listed as one of ones. I mean, I personally think it's best to have two separate collections, one collection that is one of one images and one collection that is additions. I don't really know why any of these have to be a one of one or why any of these have to be an addition versus a one of one. It seems like a personal choice of yours, but I think if they were just all additions, it would be really good. Or I think if they were just all one of ones, it would be really good. I mean, at the price that you're selling them for, like, you know, this one, this is so this one's a little bit more. You're 0.02 makes more sense to me for an image like this. It's a beautiful image. It makes more sense to me to go that route than $6, which was 0. I don't know, zero. You had an extra zero, you had an extra decimal in there, which made the price really cheap. I think if you made I think if all of these were additions at around this price, 0.02, and additions to 12, I think are really conservative. I think it's a good bet in this type of market, and it's just nice for scarcity for it to not be um, not have too many in existence. That's just my opinion. But I think it could confuse some people when you have that in there. I'm glad to see that you have your royalties at 10%, that you were in before they made those whatever they did, where some collections are not able to get royalties right now, which is really, really um, feels really, really unfair. It's quite heartbreaking to me as an artist, and um, because we've already been struggling for years, decades, forever how long with being screwed financially as an artist and not respected financially as an artist. And now we have this one. Only hope we have right now is this blockchain technology, and then now we're learning that some of these centralized exchanges could say, no, we're not doing this anymore. No, that's not. That hurts because that would probably change the decision of a lot of artists on whether or not they would mint on a specific platform or they would go with additions instead of one of ones, because royalties on additions, we all know we can get more royalties from additions because they're more liquid. They're cheaper, so more people buy into them usually, and more people trade them. So if you think about my collection, Lost in Transits, it's the additions. If OpenSea was to say, hey, we're not doing any more royalties for secondary sales, that would hurt me quite a bit because I would have made my Lost in Transit collection a one collection at that point. And if if I knew that there was no future in sustainable income through royalties. Um, yeah, good to see that you have your royalties in place. And sorry, I went on a little tangent about royalties, but it is a subject in the space right now that we are talking about, as OpenSea may or may not be making it difficult for some artists, or it might be manifold. I'm not sure for the royalties. Going on, I speak for the mountain passes. That this is a really beautiful one too. And this is a 1 of 1 that you set at 0.105, which is very respectable for a 1 of 1. The pricing is set right, and it's a beautiful image. From the split right down the middle of beautiful blue tones on the right side, bluish purple tones, to that beautiful sunset, sunrise, sun peeking through. I think it's a really well done image there, beautifully done. Once again, like I would have that in there and have it in the properties. But I think your descriptions are really well done. I'm going to read the description on this one. When you drive through the mountains in winter, you can't help but look around to see all the snowy mountain peaks and trails. The ice-cold rivers flowing between the mountains almost invite you to come in. With the freezing wind blowing, the air almost cuts your face like shards of glass. Until you have a moment where there's no wind at all. The silence is pure ecstasy. However, I cannot fully describe something you have to experience for yourself. Once you go through the mountains and experience the winter in them, you will say, welcome, tread lightly, as there are dangers here that no person should venture through alone. Stay afar and embrace the world around you, just as we have. Be still. Let yourself be here in the present. It is all you have. There is no future. There is no past here. Let anxiety and fear leave you. Love it. Love your description, and holds true to this being a meditative space for you. So I pointed out some of the stronger images for me. I would say some of these landscapes in the center here, Snow Valley, mountain passes, Three Sisters, this mountain one with the mountains and the rivers. It's got a beautiful sunset or sunrise vibe here going on, and you get that mid-ground foreground background. You're doing really well with that as a landscape photographer. I happen to actually I speak for the elk. Like I said, it feels like very true to life to me, and that's a wonderful shot. For me, the I speak for the waxlings feels out of place in this collection. It's the only shot that is doesn't feel like a landscape. Like even I speak for the elk feels like a landscape because it is, and the elk is a subject within the landscape. Where this feels like more close up bird watching photography. This bird's nice here on the branch. This bird looking up at him is too, but I find this bird to be distracting, blocking off the other bird. So this twig, I feel the same way about. I just don't think it's. And you have it as a 1 of 1. I just don't think it stands with the rest. As far as it just feels a little bit out of place. And then this image, you do have the foreground and the background. I feel like you're missing a bit in the midground here. Not much going on in the midground. This feels like remnants of the skull of a dead animal. But it's just there's something about it that's just not. The subject just gets, even though it's in the front of the frame, it's just a little bit lost I'm a little bit lost in what's going on in the rest of the image here. It's dramatic. There is a dramatic sky happening, but it sort of have a leading line that sort of leads into, I'm not sure. So that one was one of the weaker shots for me. But if there was any that I would pull, it would be the last things. So with that being said, let's go back to the questions you asked. I didn't even think about the questions as I was talking about the collection. Is there enough in the collection? Yeah, I think the collection of 7 is a good number, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, 6, 7. What else should I add if there isn't? I'm not saying that you even have to. Well, if anything to add, maybe more landscapes, like with a subject like the elk, with a wildlife subject like the elk. You could add that if you want to go that route, having more of those. Um, I think landscape and wildlife could work together if it feels, thematic. If it feels like it's part of the same theme, I think the election feels like it's part of the same theme. If a piece hasn't sold out, what course of action do you suggest taking? Talking about that specific piece more in spaces, highlighting that specific piece more on your Twitter, Instagram, and other spaces, and see kind of what feedback you get from it. Piece might not be selling like, just because not enough eyes are on the piece. Piece could be not selling out because maybe people don't feel an emotional or personal collection to the piece. And I think you could feel that if you post the piece and like not many people respond on it. I pointed out the ones for me that were the weaker images, which was I speak of the waxlings and I speak of the dead animals. I think the other ones are just really quite solid, and so I have nothing there. Yeah, if it's what you could do if a piece isn't sold. I mean, I think a lot of us are dealing with pieces that are sold out. I mean, you can only just continue to be an artist and talk about that work without like overwhelming the page, just blasting your feed with it, and just putting it out there, and just get out and just continue to shoot more of this. You're obviously really doing really awesome at making these landscapes, and they have feeling to them, and they're emotive. But yeah, that's what I would do if a piece wasn't selling out. I'd either consider removing the piece because maybe it's not strong enough compared to the rest, or maybe just think about the fact that we're in a bear market, and not enough people are like just seeing it or buying art and as much art. And maybe just have patience. Um, is there any way? Is there any of my work you've seen that should be on the blockchain? So let's take a look real quick then, right? Let's take a look at your Instagram, right? I'm not sure of everything that you have that's on the blockchain, but like let's take a look at some stuff here. So this is like a recent post that you have. This is a pretty beautiful shot. It's a little more close up than the elk shot, but like maybe something like this might be able to fit in there. Let's look at this. Oh, this is just a representation of your current collection. I love this shot very much. I think that might be why this sold out really fast. I think it's just such a good image. It's just so well executed. And this one's great too, and I think you'll see sales on that. Let's take a look through some of this that might fit into that collection or go along with it. I like that, but there's just feels like there's a subject that's sort of missing. It's kind of a beautiful shot. I really, really like that one. But I mean, if you throw that into the collection, it's sort of feeling like less. It's not landscape enough to be in maybe in the same collection. Like the elk and within the landscape works for me. But like I said, there's no rules. I don't know. It's just my personal curation style. I know these are not your shots. I think you're featuring another artist here. Original photo by here. You're featuring another artist, so we won't even go into those. I mean, I think you have enough here to even have like your own like this is beautiful. Like you probably have enough to have your own bird collection. Like, I think you're showing edit person. The edit is really good. And some of these bird shots are just really beautiful. Like, right, like, you could probably have your own collection of birds that would work really well. I love them in their little environment here. This is gorgeous. It almost looks fake, like a model. You know, like how they make these models set up in museums. It's beautiful. But as far as yeah, gorgeous. As far as looking at adding other things to that collection that you currently have, I think you did a good job already of adding what makes sense. What is the? Is this from you? Well, this is cool. Of adding quotes to landscapes too. That could be another idea for a collection. But yeah, I think you did a pretty good job already from looking at what you have. And the other was thoughts on minting on object, overall quality of collection as well. For me, overall quality is pretty good. I point out the ones that I think that weren't as strong as the others. Thoughts on minting on object Tezos. Um, I don't know. I'll tell you, like, an artist like me, for instance, that's had like a lot of success on the Ethereum side. It's hard for me to mint or want to mint on object because a lot of the artists are just it's a lot of artists buying from artists. It's also a lot of people selling their work for like high editions and very low price. So for me, it would maybe hurt me as an artist to do a lot of that and go in that direction. As I'm trying to like kind of go up like a slow, steady incline of my art and the value of it. But I have seen some artists that haven't had much success on the ETH side that are new to the space that actually have had really good success on object Tezos and have even gotten onto super rare. Um, so, you know, I would just say, look into some artists on there and like which ones you think are doing it right and doing well, and think about your own journey. And, if you haven't had much success on the ETH side and you want to try to have some success on object, I think it's not a bad idea. That's just my thoughts. Um, yeah, that's just my thoughts on objects. So yeah, I don't have anything else. I'm gonna take a look real quick. Maybe there's some conversation here. Key thing I take from the collection is there is respect for not being in their space. I did make the banner myself. Key thing I take from this collection is the respect for not being in their space. I'm not sure I understand that exactly.
I think that was from the other collection.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Um, you want to maybe unmute Stoic? Maybe he wants to speak a little bit because I know he's not shy.
Yeah, he's unmuted.
Oh, okay, so you'd have to unmute yourself if you do want to speak, Stoic. If not, you could type in the feedback live chat thingy. Oh, can't speak right now. Okay, cool. Well, I hope that I gave a fair. Oh, no permission, it says.
Just click the mic button at the bottom, and it should unmute you.
I know someone was having an issue the other day with that permission thing. That's when Jaden was here. I don't know if there was a fix to that, Jaden.
Yeah, it was really me just not understanding what was going on, but I've got Stoic fixed too. He should be okay.
Okay, he's good now.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Yeah, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, man. It's not easy to do these by yourself, to be honest, but I'm doing okay, I think.
Well, you're absolutely killing it. So good job, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, I talked about, we went over some of the stuff. So is there enough in the collection? I think so, right? What else should I add if there isn't? I think that wildlife shot fit, right? The one with the elk. I love that shot. I think it fits because it's like a subject within the landscape. So I think it would be harder to fit in like some of your beautiful bird photography in there because it's like more close up and it's less about the scale of the scene. I don't know how you felt about that, but I think what you've added into this collection so far seems pretty good. Outside of the waxlings ones that I think, for me personally, doesn't feel like it fits. It speaks sort of a different story. It's a bit closer up. It's kind of a different language than the other. the other shots that feel more like they're about solitude and peace within the landscapes and nature. And then the other one with the I speak for the dead animals one. I think that there's a skull shot out there that you're gonna create that's gonna be better than that one. But that's just my personal opinion. But I would love to hear anything from you about like what has been said, or if you have any other questions and stuff like that.
No, man. Well, first of all, thanks very much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time to answer my questions and look at this new collection, because last AMA it was just a brutal awakening, but I really needed it. So I definitely kind of went a little bit harder on this collection, and yeah. So just to kind of give a little bit of a small overview, maybe I didn't go this well in the description, but I wanted to kind of break it down into multiple areas, not just kind of landscape, but I did want to touch on, wildlife specifically, and then also kind of like, the trees in general, kind of touching into like the banner, because like I wanted the banner to be a symbol for what you're going to see in the collection. And so that's kind of what I was trying to allude to, but obviously I didn't do a great job of kind of marketing towards that aspect. But yeah, I definitely
I love it. I love the banner, and I think that this is a huge. You've come a long way since the last AMA, from the collection that you had to like this now. This is like night and day. And not only that, but I've seen you like. I feel like you've been more motivated in the space. You've added more to the space. You've been in more spaces. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's nice to be validated when you actually give in the work and try and put as much effort as you can into this. When I can, obviously. I don't exactly have the most time in the world compared to some people to dedicate to this craft, but I definitely did try my best when I could. And yeah, as far as the wax wings goes, yeah, I'm trying to push the one-on-ones out of the way so that way they can either get out. But actually, I just got the email this morning that I'm officially accepted into Sloika. So they might
Awesome.
be potentially moving over to there. So we'll see how that goes potentially. But yeah, that's one option now, because I wasn't accepted before, but I just got the acceptance email. And then, yeah, I think just kind of keeping it as it is, and working through the bear market is kind of what I'm working on. And then I've got foundation going as well. I do have a piece on foundation, and I'm trying to get on there as well, because I'm trying to branch myself out and not just stick to OpenSea. And also, any piece that doesn't sell on my OpenSea right now at this point, I want to kind of remint through Manifold and go through my own smart contract, because I know OpenSea has been having issues with things, and so I want to get on top of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just
that makes sense. That makes sense. And so, yeah, congrats on Sloika. I mean, if the one of ones didn't sell on here yet, then maybe it's a great idea to just keep this as an additions collection. But yeah, I'd love to help out when you decide to mint on Sloika, so that we could get something like really cohesive and awesome to submit on there. Their layout is really beautiful, so it's best to just do it right the first time. So yeah, congrats on that. Sloika is killing it. They're great. As far as foundation goes, I think I might have like an invite that I could give you if you're not on foundation.
Oh no, I'm on foundation. I actually got the invite back when they were still doing invites and everything, but now apparently you don't need an invite anymore, so anyone can actually go and mint on foundation now. So
I
yeah,
see.
it's okay.
All right, cool, awesome. 1 second, I'm grabbing a Gatorade. Well, cool, man. Did you have anything else?
No, man, you nailed it on the head as far as I'm concerned with things. I might reach out back to you again later on. If things kind of change, or just kind of maybe just to go over, just a game plan if something doesn't kind of sell, because there's a couple pieces that are still up, and seeing where they might potentially move to. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know about moving to Tezos and other chains just yet. I don't have the crypto, and right now my whole crypto situation is really weird. Like I'm kind of just stuck where I am, but that's okay. So no, it's all good, man. I think you got I got total nuggets on this one. Some pure
Cool,
gold.
man. Yeah, I think it's a good time right now for like all of us to kind of just like slow down, play the patience game, not mint a bunch of work and on multiple platforms, and get us in itself in a situation where we have like all this work out there that we have to like market and advertise for ourselves, and instead, kind of just have like one nice collection minted, possibly two, if you go on the Sloiker route, and then just like yeah, just the market, it looks a lot different when we're in a bull market. I've been here since 2016, so I've seen it in regular crypto DeFi, and I've seen it in NFT. So yeah, when that punches back around, then if we're building now and we're creating the artwork, and we're learning to put those different pieces of artwork in sort of like different shoe boxes where they fit. I try to use that metaphor of like after I shoot, like some photos could go into some folders and others until each folder has different stories, and then we're prepped for when that market comes. It'll just be more easy to write about the story of those works and those collections and stuff. So yeah, just playing the long game, staying patient, and creating art right now is a great idea. So thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate all the help.
Awesome. Cool, man. I'm going to move on now to the next collection here. And I believe we have Aaron here. This is Super 7. This is by Aaron Kumar Nalamela. And I'll just read the questions first. Do you feel emotional when you know about the background story by the artist, or just by looking at the photographs and the description? So without even looking at your collection, I'll say that like I can be emotional about an art piece without knowing anything about a description. But there have been times where I have been emotional about a piece, or maybe I wasn't even really that emotional or attached to a piece yet. And then I read a description that was like, holy cow, that's really what this image is about. Wow, this really hits different, So there's that, and then when you connect emotionally, does the price matter? You're just speaking to one person, right? Like for me, yeah, it does matter. Like if I connect emotionally, like the price still does matter, just because like I don't have all the capital in the world, but like if something hits emotional, like for like a whale, or like someone who has like 1,000 Bitcoin, or like who's been in the space since 2012 and just has a massive amount of crypto and is like loves art, like does the price matter to them if they have an emotional connection? Maybe not. Maybe they'll buy a piece of work for 100 ETH. Like I've seen collectors buy pieces of 100 ETH in the freaking bear market. So that's a question that's just kind of circumstantial. But for me, yeah, it matters. Like, like right now, I don't collect that many one-of-ones. I have to collect a lot of editions because like I want to still support artists. I believe in this space. Like I want to put my money back into the ecosystem, but like I just don't have enough of it to be able to like put, you know, for instance, like your work is 1 ETH. Like I don't buy anything right now that's 1 ETH. That's me though. Like I'm an artist and a collector, but like I'm not a collector that buys art for 1 ETH, at least yet. So if I could answer that. But anyway, let's go into the collection. I answered the questions already, I think. But Super 7, the collection. This is a long artist statement, but I'm going to read it because it's important. The collection Super 7 was created by Aaron Kumar Nalamela, and depicts the wonders of women ranging from their early years to their final years. Despite pain, insults, difficulties, loneliness, and showing love as well as hatred, the woman is the strongest and greatest of all. At the same time, she's everything and nothing. Does the world know how valuable she is? Is the world aware of her patience? Earth won't have a morning unless she opens her eyes in the morning. The people will not move if her bangles don't move. Your boundless love for each generation and your endless efforts prove all. Without her, the world would be without a lamp. It is your love and care that makes every man a baby. It is you who makes everyone smile. From the very beginning of their lives, women have faced many struggles. There are some children who are left on the streets knowing that they are girls. From an early age, some children have to deal with the burden of cooking for the rest of their lives. In order to earn money, some girls are sent far from home. It's uncommon for girls to get married at an early age. There are some women who take care of farming. There are some women who take care of their children at home. There are some girls who live under the custody of their brothers-in-law. While enduring all of these hardships, she never forgets to smile, hiding all of her sorrows deep inside. It's not enough to portray what a woman faces in 7 photographs, but I wanted to preserve their faces showing little emotions. Throughout history, their power has been unmatchable and untouchable. To all the powerful women out there not giving up on their smiles, my whole collection is dedicated to them as Super 7. Collection consists of 7 one-of-one images captured on Sony Alpha 7R3, located in India. India. Hide is just if you want to hide this. I was like, where is hide in India? You just want to hide it. Okay. Cool. So let's. So from reading this, it seems like this is honoring all women and all that women have to go through, have to endure through their life, and that they still stand strong, and they carry the child in the womb, and they're with the child for 9 months. And then when the child's born, they continue to take care of the children, and some of them while still having to work laborious jobs in the fields and in whatever area they are. So yeah, it's a beautiful artist statement about women and the struggles that they face, and that they sort of have to keep this smile still, even though that they're going through so much, or they keep this smile still. Like in this image here, I don't see it as that. I see it as keeping the smile, because I feel like this woman, I feel like this is genuine, this smile, and maybe her life is beautiful, and even with all the work that she has to do, she has some great reason to live for all that she puts out into the world. This is a beautiful shot. I think that for me, that this is like the hero shot in the collection. If there's one shot for me, it's this one that really lends to sort of this artist statement about how important women are, and how they smile through it. I love the shot. I love the depth of field that's created in this. She's really sharp, and so are these the tools that she's working with, and these bowls, whatever she's creating here. And then the background is gritty, but not enough grittiness to take away and be too busy in the photograph, because the depth of field sort of just is enough not to fully melt the background, which would be like f1.2, f1, f1.4, f1.8, but enough to melt that background, probably 2.8, to the point where we could still see the area that she works and lives in, but it's not a distraction to the image. I thought that image came out really well for that. This image, for me, had a little bit more of the more distracting elements in it. It's a beautiful shot of these 2 little girls, but I think that's a lot of high contrast is tough for portraits. There's a lot of bright white shadows and darks, and then when you get those shadows that come over the face, it's hard to see the eyes. It's a little bit more challenging for the expression. The first shot, though, in this collection is in a space where I feel like the light is more controlled. I like how you brought them. I learned this from Sabode too, or listening to Sabode talk about a lot about environmental portraits, um, where it feels like you brought them into a space where there's light coming in from a certain side of the space, which creates these highlights on the side here, and you can see there's not much light coming in from this side, so you got some shadows. It feels a little bit more controlled, a little bit more natural. Love the expression on the girl's face and this other girl. This image, I could feel sort of this a bit of sadness in this image, and hard work from these girls at such a young age, and how many responsibilities that they already have that maybe they don't even get to play with their toys, and that they're always working. I don't know. That's what I got from the image, and I'm not sure that my interpretation is a correct interpretation, but it's just my own interpretation. This is very strong. I like this shot, but it's just the lighting in this takes away from the beauty of the image, because it is a nice, genuine little moment of the two little girls, and I think it's the same two little girls from here. I think that this little girl here is maybe the little one here, and she might be the older one. I could be wrong, but this shot for me was one of the weaker shots actually in the set. The depth of field, you made her the main focus, but I'm not exactly sure of what the expression is about in this. Feels more posed. She's holding up the bird as if you stopped her and said, "Hey, let me take a picture of you holding up the bird." So I don't have as much of an emotional connection to this photograph. The composition is good, but I don't, the bird kind of gets lost in this area of the other girl's garments, and the expression is not fully there for me. So there's some images in this that are, that are really strong for me. Like I said, like this image. I think this image here works really well too, because it's there's a lot of beautiful negative space, and she's working in the fields, and the depth of field is interesting, where we're missing detail here, but we do have the detail come up here. I do like that. She's got this really genuine and beautiful smile on, even with all this work that she's doing in the fields. I love that shot, that shot, this shot, this shot. These shots have an emotional feel, whether it be sorrow and sadness a bit in this shot, versus joy and happiness from the adults. So it gives you sort of this hope that maybe these children, with all they endure, grow up to still feel happiness in this. And you have a shot that feels a little more environmental here, which I do like. It feels a little out of place in this collection when looking at the other photographs, but I do like the photograph very much. I do. I like how you're showing the full spectrum of scale in which the home that it feels like a home that they're living in. I think it is, because you got a clock here on the wall. You got what appears to be this makeshift bed. It doesn't feel like an ideal situation or a place to live, but with all that we have in first world countries like United States, people have thousands dollar apartments that they pay monthly, and marble floors, and heated floors, and beautiful countertops, and they are sometimes suffering mentally with all of these material things more than some people, where you see have very little, but they have there's a hierarchy of needs that comes into play, where maybe they have exactly what they need, and they have love and family that works. I love seeing the space in which they live, and the small amount in which they have, and that they're able to work with what they do have. It's a beautiful image. We talked about these, and then it ends on a shot that feels a little different from the rest, because this shot, the other shots to me feel like an environment where people live and they don't have much, you know. And then this shot, this girl is playing on, I don't, maybe it's not her iPhone, maybe it's dad's iPhone or something, but I don't know. I feel like with the clothing that she's wearing and how clean it is, and these nice spectacles that the father is wearing, and he's clean cut if it's the father. Um, it seems like a shot that's taken from somewhere else that has different living conditions. But it is a beautiful shot. She's has it having a moment on the phone, and there's a smile coming from who appears to be the mother, and a look of gratitude or smile from the father. And it's well composed, and you have these lines, this depth of field that's beautiful in the background. But it's hard to feel it in the same collection as something like this. And I understand you're trying to be cohesive with this story about women, and what they go through, and their struggles, or their age and stuff. But I don't feel how an image like this could fit in the same collection as an image like this. Um, so that like so for me, that's my critique on these. Is I think there's some really strong ones that stand out to me. And this one, it's number one, which is you don't really have a name from it. You go Super Seven, number one, two, three. So I'm just gonna call it as that. Number one, um, number five, number six. Um, those three are the really the strongest ones for me. And then I do enjoy this shot because it gives a little more context of the living situation. I do enjoy the look on the mother's face, and the child has a look of concern, looking outwards. I think you controlled lighting really well there. Um, it's a little more gray than the other black and whites. I would like to see there's a spectrum that Ansel Adam talks about of the whitest whites to the darkest darks in black, and it being 10 spectrums of tonality. And I think that you could probably have like a bit brighter whites and a bit darker darks in this, and contrasting could be a bit better. Um, but I do love what it's about. And I do think that you're a great photographer. I own some work from you. Um, and looking at price, one ETH on these. I'm not sure when you minted the collection. It's been around for a bit, but it is a beautiful collection. I would consider some of the things that I did talk about. And I know Aaron is here and maybe wants to chime in, and has the ability to talk about some of the feedback that I've given. Whole story is about my mother and the struggles faced by her. Okay, so that's. And I'm wondering who is the mother in the image. Let me see if I can click and get a description on one of these. Maybe it's the one that I really enjoy. That number 5. I'm gonna reload this page. I'm having issues here with let's read this one. I really like this shot. When I traveled to Rajasthan, I met her in a small street covered by small houses where everyone gathered and celebrated their happiness. When some children saw me with the camera, they invited me to their streets to capture them. I've captured a lot of them in their street. This particular capture, where I felt so happy looking at this woman, as most of them asked to capture her. I kept talking with her without capturing her. She was the most energetic woman, making everyone smile on the street, including me. At a particular moment, while she was smiling at her mom, I froze. I showed the photograph to her mom, and she went emotional as she knows how beautiful her daughter was, and also she knows about her struggles too. Love that story about how that's her smiling to her mom. Her mom taking emotional to that photograph. So yeah, beautiful collection. And, you know, we see if you're talking about your this current collection or if you're all moved on. But yeah, you're on to other editions and stuff. I see, because I know that's the collection has sat stagnant for a while, and so maybe bringing that collection back to life by talking about it. Because I'm looking here, and I don't see anything of it. Well, here, November 28th. Okay, biggest and best event this year. Let me retweet this for you. He's launching a project, an emotional story of my mother on Sloika, very special. You got some shots in there. I really like. Very cool. Well, if you have anything you'd like to add before I move on to the next collection, you can feel free to type in the chat space. My mother is not there, but I captured subconsciously by having her in mind. Well, it's a beautiful tribute to your mother. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and congrats, Stoic, on the on Stoica. Oh, you're welcome, man. Always love to see you. I always love seeing your work, and I love that I have your work in my collection, sir. So thanks for being here today. Now, with that, we'll move on. We have 3 more collections, and I thought it would be quicker with only one person, but it's panning out to go about the same amount of time as a normal one with the co-host. So I guess I'm in the zone here, speaking a lot. Next collection is As Humans, and this is by Mo Ruffy. Well, he goes by Mo Ruffy in the space, but his name here shows as Momadou Rufai. He says, this collection is inspired by how I feel about humanity and mental health. Photos are taken on my smartphone. He has the smartphone Xiaomi Redmi Note 9S. That's how you say it. But what do you think of the collection? And what do you think of the grading? I think they're talking about color grading, or well, I guess it's grading if there's no color. Let's go through. Let's look at it. Creator fees 0%. Created in October 2022, so you should have. I think at that time you should have been able to set up your fees, man. You want to at least get 10% creator fees as a photographer to sustain your finances, man, as these sell on the secondary market. As humans, we go through various phases physically and emotionally. This collection portrays various events we go through in life as humans. A collection relatable to all. I would definitely work on that artist statement. I mean, I see what you're saying here. It's about the human condition, but I would probably go on to talk more about like what the human condition means to you, what you've been through, what being a photographer has done to help your condition as a human, why photography as a medium. There's a lot of things you can go through in your artist statement. So 2 things I noticed: the creative fee. Also, could have a better description here. Another thing I'm noticing right now is no Instagram, no Twitter, no Discord. That information is really helpful. It's for collectors to learn more about. You won't have that there. Looking at it just first glance. Okay, so well, first of all, floor price 0.15. You have one image 0.15, another 0.25, another 0.3. Strongest image for me is actually the cheapest one, Untold Stories, at 0.15. So me looking at it, the pricing is a little confusing to me as to why the other ones cost more. But I'll open up Untold Stories, and just looking at this without reading the description, this is a really cool composition. It's definitely a daring composition. It has an abstract feel. It's kind of amazing how almost half the face has this black to it, the other half feels white, and then it looks like it's almost intersected, cut in half by another boy's face that comes into the frame here. This is really cool abstract way of shooting. Really well done. I love it. I love this shot. The eyes tell such a story here. It's not the story coming with us with the child. So really well done. Treated so many stories seen but never told. Look into my eyes and tell me what stories lies behind those eyes. If only the eyes could speak, so many untold stories would have been brought to light. So like even that there is like longer than your original statement. I would definitely work on the statement because it's beautifully written. Um, you should also have information here, in my opinion, like this is a one of one, so like addition, one of one artist, Mo Ruffy, or your original first name and surname that you go by, name of the collection. You use your properties. There's no properties being used here. You use the properties to have the name of artist, the edition name, resolution, whatever stuff you think is important, but definitely the edition and stuff. So none of that is listed here, and this is something we're doing now. Most artists, so I would, so that's the feedback I have for you there. Is so feedback so far, like if you can get your creator royalties, get them. If you can make it a longer and better artist statement, do that. I would include, like I said, those important things in the description and properties as well. So I look at this collection. For me, I see a lot that there needs to be worked on, but I see an artist that is makes beautiful art. I love that shot. Second shot for me, priced higher. To be honest, this one didn't sit as well with me. It's about solitude, but like, it's an interesting choice of like your composition here. Like you're cutting off the leg, and the subject is looking out in a direction that's like completely cut off. So normally when, and you like, there's no rules or anything, but like it doesn't really work for me here because had he been sitting looking in this direction to the right, I'd form a greater connection with this because I understand like what he's looking out at. There's a lot missing here for me. So normally it's this. There's usually some negative space into what people are like leading into. That's a basics in composition for me. So with this one, not as strong as the first one for me, and also like the middle one feels like regular snapshot photography, and the ones on the outside seem like this really artistic approach where you're pushing boundaries. So it's like they're just complete opposites to me. So I'll go into the ineffable state, which is really cool. So you've added is there sound? Let me hear. Let's see if there's sound. Doesn't seem like sound, but it looks like you've added like it looks like a pulsating sort of heartbeat into this abstract double, triple, quadruple exposure, or however you did this, which feels kind of mandalic as well. And so at some point we feel overwhelmed with emotions and don't know how to express it. Confused, we are the emotions. Confused, we are the emotions keep hitting like your head is about to explode. We sit helpless and let this overwhelming emotion torment us, suffering in silence. How can I put this to an end? Yeah, really, once again, really interesting description, really emotive, makes you think about, anxiety, depression, how we do get sort of trapped in our own mind and ego telling us that we are not good enough or we can't or this or that, which is just winds up being a huge waste of time to kind of attach to that ego when we can try to live presently and have acceptance in the things that we have. It's tough, right? It's tough. Mental health is tough, and this feels to be about mental health. It's a beautiful piece. It includes unlockable content. But like what unlockable content? There's no information, there's no edition size, there's nothing like that. Like you're missing a lot of stuff here. You can go back into this collection and make it look a lot more complete. Like I don't know what unlockable content I'm getting here with this. Does this one have this one doesn't have unlockable content? So like why does the last one have unlockable content? And let us know what the unlockable content is. Questions? What do I think of the collection? I already spoke about that. What do I think about the grading? I think the grading is really pretty. I like the color grading, especially in the first one. I think you did a really good job with your contrast, tonality. Solid blacks are in here. In her hair, you can see some solid blacks in the shirt. And then you got those lighter blacks, you got whites, you got solid whites in here. You did really good on the spectrum of tonality. So yeah, with that being said, I don't have anything else to say on this collection. It's quite small collection, but that middle shot I don't feel fits in the collection for me. And I feel like you're pushing more boundaries with stories in the state, and I think you have a lot of stuff to add in here, like descriptions and stuff like that as well. So, but yeah, really emotive, and I love seeing your artwork. I've seen it quite often, and I think you're making some beautiful pieces. With that said, I'm going to move on. Mo has anything if he's here, but he's not, to the next collection, which is Beguiling Blues. Beguiling Blues, I think that's how you say it. And so Beguiling Blues is by Ekansh Mehta, and he says, I have no questions as I had been part of an earlier AMA, so just updated my collection after getting feedback from that session. I try to resolve all the things that I was doing wrong earlier. Please have a look over my collection again so I should know more about my mistakes. Okay, let's take a look at it. So banner looks pretty cool. First vibes I'm getting this like cold sort of bluish vibe. They all tend to feel pretty cohesive. I mean, the one in the middle here is, if any, like it's more green than the rest. But let's take a look. This collection portrays the melodic vibes, the serene beauty of the blue hour. The blue hour is the period of twilight in the morning or evening when the sun is at a significant depth below the horizon. During this time, the remaining sunlight takes on a mostly blue shade. The blue hour occurs when the sun is far enough below the horizon so that the sunlight's blue wavelengths dominate. Really cool. I love the blue hour. Blue hour is really cool. A lot of people talk about the golden hour. The blue hour comes after the golden hour. And this is the kind of images you can get during the blue hour. So looking at it, it feels very cohesive. Like I said, this one image does feel a little less blue, a little more green than the others. But the monkey, the one with these monkey ones, or these chimps or whatever, Mother's Love, the sold one, it does have some of those greens in there, so it does tie in. Looking at this before opening the photos, I feel a feeling of solitude in all of these images. The bird with the leading line, I love this shot. This is great. Like, you don't see this perspective, and like you don't see like a bird like with such a shallow depth of field around it and this perspective that it's really moody. I really love it. I really love the leading line into this bird and the story about this bird. And I love the little green and red light out here on the. This looks like the train crossing. It's a very moody image, and for one of one, right? For only $0.0785. It's really well priced. Maybe underpriced in my opinion. We make some of this work. Moody Morning. They're all priced the same. I like that. Unlockable content. It says. It's just a great portrait. The quality in this looks awesome. It looks like something a movie still. This could be a whole movie in itself about this man and this boy or whatever. He's a teenage man or early 20s. And it's just some story about him and his life. It's very intriguing. It leaves a lot to the imagination. Color grading is just absolutely beautiful. A lot of times when people have a lot of these blues, you tend to see it. Like if you see this tan, this beige, you would tend to see a lot of that blue tone in here. But you did a really good job at the white balance and correcting for that in these images. Man on the cycle. Once again, love that solitude vibe. I love the reds and yellow street lamps in the background. It just adds a cinematic effect to the image. Really well composed. Winter mood. Yeah, just it's a beautiful image of this woman with the fire. I wish her figure was opened up a little bit more, and it wasn't just this one big solid piece of her. And she had some more of a shape in the way she was sitting or moving. Maybe we could see more of her face if it was illuminated by the fire. But it's a good image. I like it. I don't think it's the best in the bunch. And then Mother's Love looks like it was purchased by Eliza Hawthorne. It includes unlawful content as well. While I was traveling to shoot a different location, luckily I was able to witness some monkeys under a tree and click this image when a mother is hugging her little child. Yeah, it's a beautiful moment. It really is. You don't see that often, especially in an urban environment like this. It's sitting on these spikes here. It looks like there's like barbed wire or whatever that's considered out there, or electric wire. Nothing in the properties as far as the edition size. That's something I touched on. But that one is sold. Let's see if you have it on one of the newer ones. The newer one, still no edition size in here. I'm wondering why everyone keeps the edition size out of the properties. Artist name great, dimensions great. Edition size should be in there. 1:1. I love this image. When we have, we've looked at all of them. I think it is cohesive to Solitude. I think there's some beautiful images in here. You said you're looking for any other feedback because you received feedback from a past AMA, which you did change some things, and you did make it feel a lot more cohesive. So yeah, I like it. I like the work. I think the price is really, really fair, if not underpriced. And I love all the names. All Alone, Moody Morning. There's something that keeps calling me back to Moody Morning. It's beautiful, and there's something that really keeps me calling back to All Alone, which is another really beautiful shot. You really have a certain way of seeing that works really well in this color palette. So. That being said, I think everything else is done really well. I mean, your creator fee, I'd probably be asking for 10% instead of 5%. Why not get the extra 5%? Beautiful collection. And I know that the artist is not here from this one, so we can go on. We can go on to the next collection. Yeah, me too, man. It's a great collection. Love it. Love it. Me too. Final collection that we're going to be talking about today is it's called Aria, and this is by Jason Matias. His question is: as a body of work, how important do you feel the stories attached to the visuals and the elements therein are, or do you just look at visuals? How important do you think the platform is for the success of the collection? Good questions. Let's take a look at the work first. Aria description. The Aria collection is the marriage of dualities and music. It is more than a nude artwork. With each aria, I try to balance power and fragility, beauty and obscurity, exhibition and introspection. Each work is inspired by music and named after works I love so much. In each, there are abstractions placed on a Fibonacci curve that extends from the mind or the heart. The abstractions represent broken beauty, and the fibs represent our repeating thought patterns. That's really interesting. So I was looking at this collection, and I looked through all of them. I think the most successful ones here are actually the first two you listed. So I'm going to open up Love and Hate. This thing's absolutely freaking beautiful. I love this. I love the color relationship of this light blue from the wall, and this looks like a paper that you put up for portraits. This dark blue, and it has the crinkles in it, and so you're going from like this baby blue to this dark blue, and then you cut this off in black. And I don't think this is part of the photograph. I think this is added in post, which is cool. And the Fibonacci in this one is just phenomenal. Like, it's the sequence that you added with her head and face, and how it comes back, goes around the arch at the back, through the body, out into this area. My favorite image in the collection, by far. Then this one would be my second favorite. And I don't know. Sometimes artists they list their best ones or what they think is the best ones first. This is a beautiful nude portrait. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at the shape from her hands down to her elbows out to here. We're creating a triangle. In here, we're creating another triangle. Beautiful. Her body's just has all the shape to it too. It's beautiful. And we're creating another triangle by the feet. And then the Fibonacci sequence once again rounds this back here and comes out. Really beautiful combination of photography and effects added after. I love it. Brutal Hearts, another beautiful piece. It still has that minimal aspect, but like in this one, yeah, you can see the Fibonacci sequence go around the head, around, up, and around the finger here. Right, another beautiful shot. I feel like the Fibonacci sequence tends to get lost in this one here. Like you can see it. It's really subtle, but it's not quite as prominent as in the other ones, which I actually really liked. I do enjoy this image. I enjoy the skin tones against the very black blacks, and then cut in half by a color palette that feels close to skin tones. Is why I think I like this image also. Go through some more. This one I thought was really, really creative and artistic. And I love how she's looking in this direction. The face is covered by the hair. And then you got the Fibonacci sequence, which you can see in here. And it kind of leads to this like blast of what looks like that powder that you see at those Indian color festivals. That's just like poof, it's thrown up in the air. And I don't know how you've created this, if it was in real life, if it's thrown powder, or if it's created in Photoshop, and it doesn't really matter. And you have this little glowing yellow triangle here that kind of contrasts to the gold up here, which is beautiful. And the picture's dissected by like a 25% white and a 75% black here. Really interesting, beautiful, beautiful work. Then we get into some images that didn't work as well for me, to be quite honest. Midnight Dove feels just like a little busy for me. And it feels like in some of the other images, it was more subtle with the after effects and stuff that you added to the image. But this feels like heavily photoshopped and heavily edited for my specific taste. So I kind of got lost in this one. I was looking for the Fibonacci sequence and I wasn't really able to find it. It doesn't do for me what those I got here, internal server error. Really? Wasn't doing for me what those first two images were. They felt really, really clean. Foundation, what's going on with this? Okay, we're back. Okay, we're back. Cool. Yeah, this is where this area, these maybe last four, maybe just these two, felt really busy, and it just didn't feel. They didn't feel as sophisticated as some of these other ones at the top. I got a little lost in this one. Claire de Lune. I'm allowed to open it up. Foundations. Anyone else having an issue with foundation? All right, here we go. So these ones just seem a little bit more busy to me. Like I can see like these sort of squares that you've created in post. Okay. And they just feel a little bit edited to the point where they're just less appealing to me than the other ones. Maybe it's the busyness that's involved in some of these shots here. But I am having a technical difficulty with Foundation at the moment, and so I can't really open these. But you know, I'm going to go off what I've said about the first few here. That really these first two in particular, are my absolute favorites. First three are really beautiful. I enjoyed this one, but not as much as what you went with Fell on Black Days, with where you could see the Fibonacci sequence in there, and you could see this explosion of power up here, and how you kind of dissected it with 25% white and 75% black in this image. Okay, now it's showing us the last image, which I think is successful. And it's just not as successful for me with the ones with the Fibonacci sequence. And you can see, like, the back here, it's got, sort of like this pixelated sharpness that's created, and you've got some other things going on here that I don't necessarily think that you need to convey this story that you're trying to convey through the artwork. Some of the post-processing had gone a bit too far from my personal liking, but I'm just one opinion. So there might be some of these ones down here that other people like better, but I definitely was really drawn to the first two. How long ago was this created? This collection. I think it's been around for some time. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can click on this. March 24th, 22. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's about 8 months. And so you haven't sold. Yeah, minted 8 months ago. So it says it right here. Minted 8 months ago, and you haven't sold any so far. So I wonder, it's either you're not really actively sharing enough, or 3 ETH is just high if you haven't sold anything else for that. I mean, anything else for that price yet. So, like, let me take a look, Jason. I don't follow you, Jay. I'm gonna follow you because I definitely love your work. Scenes of uncomfortable isolation, speaker, etc. I'm gonna try to see if I can look into what other types of work you've sold, and if you've sold anything at the 3 ETH level. I'm not saying you shouldn't sell at 3 ETH, but it could be a deciding factor as to why they've sat for 8 months and haven't moved. Collect NFTs on Ethereum. Click here to collect for 0.2. You have a collection on Sloika as well. Okay. Let's click this. So a collection of 18 with 15 available. And so, this work is 0.33, and you've sold 3 of them. So maybe it's that jump from 0.03 to 3 ETH, 3 ETH per image in this collection. That's made it hard to sell, because there's no, I can't say that your pieces are not worth 3 ETH, right? When I came in this space, I thought, oh, well, if Bored Apes are selling for this price, then my pieces must be worth 5 ETH, 10 ETH. I had all these expectations that weren't actually reality. And so I had to start to sell my pieces at first for like 0.2, and then build up to a certain price. And maybe these ones on Foundation are just more meaningful to you, or they're worth more in some regard. Let's take a look at other stuff you got on Foundation. Floor price 1. So you haven't sold any of these at 1 ETH as well either. So yeah, don't normally like to talk about price, but it could be a factor. It's a lead up to that price range. But outside of that, some really beautiful work in here that I mean, I love these. I can't personally 3D, but I do really love these first two images, and I think the description is really thought out and a beautiful description, and I love the addition of the Fibonacci sequence and the meaning behind it. And yeah, with that, I don't really have I don't have anything else to say on this collection. But if you want, you could DM me. I know you're not in here; you weren't able to make it, but you could totally DM me about this work, and we could talk about it, or pricing, or anything. But, I really love it, and yeah. So I think that will conclude the AMA for today.